folks, welcome to another edition of Broken Brains with your host, Bruce Parkman, sponsored by the Mac Parkman Foundation, where we look at the issue of repetitive brain trauma and the two primary sources of that trauma, which is repetitive head impacts from contact sports and repetitive blast exposure for military veterans. And what are the impacts of those exposures on the brains of these people and resulting in the largest preventable cause of mental illness in this country? We reach out to researchers, technicians, scientists, doctors, lawyers, parents around the world to bring you the latest and greatest information because this issue of RHR and RBE is one of the most poorly understood issues in our medical and psychiatric community today. And that's why you have to be informed because you are the advocate for yourself that knows that you love. Today, we have brought another amazing guest on the show. It's Mr. Siegfried Settele. He's the co-owner of Bridge, the Gap parent company of X Sport Mouthguards, one of the most innovative mouthguard products on the market today, and is the co-creator. He owns and operates Settele Dental Lab, a top dental laboratory in Columbus, Ohio, serving over 180 dental offices, and he has over 40 years of experience as a master dental technician. And it was him himself who created this amazing product called the X Sport Mouthpiece, which is right now the state of the art in athlete protection and designed to be more than a protective device. And its safe performance and safety innovation include advanced shock absorption, custom fit, breathable design, durability and longevity, and for the first time ever is now being equipped with AI sensors so that you, the team, the parent, and the athlete can track key factors of the impact of your sport on your brain to include what we hope is subconcussive trauma. Mr. Settele, welcome to our show, and thank you so much for coming on.
Bruce, how you doing? It's a pleasure to be here, and you can just call me Sig. I welcome everybody, and hello, and I'm very excited to be on the program.
Cool beans. So, Sig, tell us about, before we get into export, tell us what led you on the journey to create a state-of-the-art mouthpiece.
Yeah, well, you touched on it. I am a dental technician for the last 500 years, owner and operator. Yeah. So I'm pretty creative with many things. We'll get into that maybe later on or another time. But long story short, the story comes from my son-in-law, who's an amateur hockey player. Coming out of COVID, things weren't as busy as they normally would be, right? And many businesses were affected in that way. We had a little extra time on our hands. And I have quite a few inventions that I wanted to roll out. And everybody said, Sig, just pick one. And unfortunately, my son-in-law took a puck to the mouth during a game. Now, we all know the percussions, what could happen there. And obviously, he was pretty messed up, facial trauma, oral trauma, you name it. And that's with the mouth guard. And the long story short, he is very lucky that he didn't lose any teeth. He had this maxillary fracture, the upper jaw, right? Stitches inside and out. And right then and there, I knew I had to unveil something. And let's face it, this is what I do. This is what I live and breathe, right? Making dental appliances for so long. And I knew that something had to change, and it had to change immediately.
Well, good on you, sir. Thank you. And I'm sorry to hear about your son-in-law. Is he okay?
Yeah, he's fine. It took a long time to recover, obviously, but his breaking his upper jaw and having everything stitched up, and he couldn't eat for a while. I mean, we all know what needs to be done with that. But long story short, he recovered. But he was our guinea pig. We made so many different mouth guards for him to get a human perspective, and we got it to the point where I had to show it to somebody. And the next step, Bruce, after that was I thought I had something. And we showed it to my right-hand man, and that's Dr. Andy Gilbert. He's a prosthodontist here in Columbus, Ohio, and he probably has the biggest or the top resume that somebody could lay down. Not only is he a prosthodontist, he's also by trade a mechanical engineer, and also he is the team dentist for the Columbus Blue Jackets. And so I welcome him on our team. And also I welcomed him as an investor, and that led to great team being developed right after that. And we were very fortunate to bring in a team that I call an all-star team, Bruce. and I'm very blessed with some of the top oral surgeons. Dr. Rick Sheets, 21 years with the Columbus Blue Jackets as team oral surgeon, and also one of the best oral surgeons that probably walks the planet. Also, we're very, very pleased to have Dr. Asim Roy, one of the top neurologists on our team here in Columbus, Ohio. So, yes, I'm blessed to have these individuals believing in the product and having a vision.
I'll tell you what, there's no doubt that a hockey oral surgeon is a very
Yeah.
busy man because those things fly all over the place, and you're right. I mean, I can't imagine taking a puck to the face. I've been playing rugby for 40 years, but those things. If anybody's ever held a professional hockey puck or any hockey puck in your hand, those things. I mean, how fast do those things go when they're hit? I mean, they're slapped at what.
Yeah, you're probably pushing probably triple digits for the most part. But I tell you what, that probably could have killed him. Let's be honest about it.
If you would have taken it in the head or something, I mean,
Yeah,
gosh.
it probably
So,
could have killed him. Probably could have killed
so
him.
yeah. So how did you start your journey? Like, were you in your
Well, I knew.
garage or something? You just started melting
No, no,
wax,
no, no.
or what?
Yeah, basically the whole concept was already there. I just had to unroll it, had to make some changes. We started off infusing the mouth guards. The prototypes with stainless steel. That was a major step, and then right away I knew I had to make a quick change, and we quickly changed stainless steel into carbon fiber, Bruce. We are the world's only mouth guard that is infused with carbon fiber. And obviously, the question comes with everybody is why carbon fiber and what is the big deal of carbon fiber? And I'm going to tell you really quick, Bruce, the big deal of carbon fiber is it's light as a feather and is 5 times stronger than stainless steel when we're talking about tensile strength. And it is the framework of our mouth guard. And our mouth guard can be pretty much be comparable to a car. As we know, all cars have bumpers, and when the impact, the forcing energy transmits from our triple layer mouth guard, and right there, the force goes through the absorption layer, Bruce. That's our first layer of defense, and that would be equivalent to a bumper on a car. So, as I mentioned, the force, the energy transmits through that first layer of defense and leads us right into our second layer of defense. That is the carbon fiber. That would be equivalent to maybe a chassis on a car. There, the energy gets transmitted to our third layer. Our third layer is a 3D printed ortho resin that basically is a precision fit. So these mouth guards, Bruce, when the day they fit is the same that it'll fit in 6 months, 8 months, 10 months. We have some athletes wearing these things over a year. The precision fit, there is no adjustment. We are the world's first 3-layer 3D printed mouth guard with carbon fiber technology. So yes, it is a game changer. I call it the X factor, but it's making a difference, and that's how it started with me having already the blueprint in my head. So when the accident happened, it was a short period of time that we were able to unroll these mouth guards.
Well, as a businessman, I'm always interested. I always love business models. So, you found how long did it take to get from that prototype to say your first customer, the first time you started delivering these out into the field, and who's using these things now? You got an amazing website, so it looks like they're
Yeah,
very
we have.
popular.
Yeah, so the time frame, you're probably looking pushing close to 3 years from our prototypes, and it's not just that we came up with just anything. And now, how do we know that we really have something, right? Look at all the mouth guards that are out there, and we'll elaborate about that here in a minute. But the mouth guards that are currently out there, they say they're the best ones because anybody can say we make the best pizza, Bruce, because we say so. And so as soon as we had our first prototype, I had Dr. Debbie Mandel from Ohio State, who's in charge of all athletic dentistry, all sports dentistry at Ohio State University, Dr. Debbie Mandel, and she told me, Sig, you're onto something, but I highly recommend you get it tested. And so I scratched my head and did some research. And I said to myself, no one is doing any testing per se. Why do we need to do that? That's
How do you get
exactly
a
why.
test? You get a bunch of guys that take pucks in the face or something. Nobody's
Yeah.
going to want to test these things.
So we Uber tested this thing, Bruce. We went to Ottawa University, had that tested. We had it twice tested at at Auburn University, at Ohio State a couple times. And where we test these, Bruce, is that we tested at the mechanical engineering department. We do what's called an absorption testing, where we have an apparatus that simulates a human dentition, right? So just like a mouth guard would fit a human. So we take our mouth guards and we fit it on this anatomical jig. That's what we're going to call it, an anatomical jig, right? That simulates what a human dentition would do, and we would fit these mouth guards over this anatomical jig. There, this apparatus would actually drop different weights at different intervals, right, onto the mouth guards, occlusally, frontally, buccally, left, right, on the sides, and then we would see how much impact, right, it could withstand, and we would test other mouth guards. And I'm going to tell you something, Bruce. Anytime if you're talking tires, steak knives, it doesn't matter. If you wind up being 5 times stronger than the next competitor, that's a huge, huge, huge change. And I tell you what, we back our data, we back our science. That's why we had these things tested. And so we're proud to say with carbon fiber, right, it reduces that impact. And everything is recorded in newtons, and that's, physics. And I give you an example for people who don't really understand some of this, is that if Mike Tyson would give anybody a shot like Jake Paul, a real fight, a Mike Tyson punch could be upwards to 5,000 newtons. And if you're talking 6, 7, or 8,000 newtons, we're talking about pretty much almost decapitating a human. And at that point, we're not worrying about protecting any teeth,
right?
or brain if you're going to decapitate humans. So yeah, 5,000 newtons is pretty much an average hit punch, we'll say, from Mike Tyson. So we're proud to say we've done a lot of testing. We've stuck a lot of time and resources and capital in these, so we can really back up what we're producing, Bruce.
Cool. And so when you say you're stronger than the next near, so tell us how, like you said, newtons. Is newtons transferable to PSI or G-force or anything like that? Because
and we have to remember that these other mouth guards that are on the market, they have no data or no testing to back up any of their claims. We talked about they make the best pizza because they say so. And no mouth guard company will say, well, our mouth guard will last 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9 months. No one will say that. They already know after a period of, say, 4 or 5 weeks or even less, many athletes can tell you the mouth guards will slowly become loose automatically. They lose their form, right? They'll fit like socks on a rooster. We'll say that, right? And that's why the problem is the major complaints of athletes at any level, at any sport, is, let's face it, I understand why they don't want to wear it. We see athletes on TV all the time not wearing mouth guards, right? Whether it's hanging on from their helmets, right? Or they're just not wearing them, right? The problem is that mouth guards, actually, the average mouth guard restrict oxygen intake, right? Okay. That's a major problem. Our patented design allows oxygen intake. And what is the big deal about that? It increases one's performance and endurance. That is a major game changer. In MMA fighting and boxing or what have you, that is when it comes down to who has more gas left in the tank, that becomes a factor. That is a game changer. And as I mentioned, we call it the X factor. And also another negative of most mouth guards is they're too bulky, right? They can't talk with it, right? Let's face it, most sports are team-oriented sports. Communication is a huge key, right? With our mouth guard, you can stick it in and still call an audible at the line of scrimmage. No more taking it in and out, sticking it on the helmet, forgetting to put it in, or finagling it around at the line of scrimmage, taking up seconds, as we see in some plays, some quarterbacks not putting it in correctly. At times the clock is still moving. Those days are over. You put it in, Bruce, and you forget about it. You leave it in. Able to communicate, able to breathe, and also it gives the athlete a peace of mind that they don't have to play with trying to keep it in, fighting it in place to hold it, right? Mm-hmm. They put it in and concentrate on what is important right in front of them. and that's focusing on their game.
Well, I know my son was not a big fan of mouth guards in wrestling and or football. So we have a lot of parents listening to this podcast. So, besides the advantages of your mouth guard, what is, and I know some of the advantages of your mouth guard we're going to talk about in a second. So why should your child wear a mouth guard? I mean, and so parents can, enforce kind of like this. Obviously, there's benefits to wearing a mouth guard, but to the athletes, like, Ma, I'm not wearing that, right? But sometimes we should be a little bit, encouraging or just, telling our child you're wearing a goddamn mouth guard. So, what are the risks to the child for not wearing the mouth guard, so our parents can understand the importance of having them?
Well, I'm going to tell you, first of all, it's in high school and middle school and so on. It's it's in the rules. They have to wear the mouth guard. Okay, they
Okay,
have to wear the mouth guard. A penalty will be called if they don't have it. They don't bring it. They're not getting on the field.
really?
I like those. I like that because you're setting it up that look. Accidents happen to anyone, regardless, pro, college, high school. Accidents will happen, right? And the best thing is to put your armor on, right?
Yeah.
Concussions, they will not sidestep any athlete. TBIs, traumatic brain injuries, these are all things that we're trying to reduce, right? There is no mouth guard in the world that will eliminate concussions. But if we can come up with a mouth guard that we really think we've made a precedence that this mouth guard can reduce based on data and science, that is a huge statement to make. And the whole concept is we're trying to focus on reducing oral trauma, right?
Right.
Having one tooth chipped, losing one tooth, the trauma that actually goes through. Mom and dad, insurance, what have you, having to go through bone grafting, getting an implant, interim appliances, on and on and on. It becomes a situation that they're going to have to deal with that pretty much their whole life. And we're talking thousands of dollars for that. We're trying to reduce that. And we talked about what are your teeth worth? What's somebody's brain worth? When you get one concussion, you're more susceptible to getting a second one, a third one,
Absolutely.
a fourth one. I mean, some of us have seen that movie that was out a few years ago with Will Smith called Concussions, with some of the major players from Junior Seau, right? Right? To many athletes. Mike Webster, right, from the
Yeah.
Steelers, who played center.
Very.
I mean, we can mention a few athletes. What happened to them? They took their lives. It's a huge negative, right? We don't want to have more athletes coming out like Brett Favre did to Capitol Hill, talking about his Parkinson's disease that could contribute to all the hits that he took. He took a
So
beating on the field.
let's talk about that. So when you say, on with concussions and TBIs, you reduce the force. Now we
Right.
know that obviously we're talking about a hit that takes place in the oral area, because otherwise you're not going to impact any hit to the head. Okay. So
Well, we're talking, yeah, Bruce. I do want to mention one thing. A lot of people focus only from here up. Okay, we're focusing from the mandibular up.
so we're
Put
talking
your
about a mechanism that can reduce concussive force and TBI force if the
right,
athlete is hit in the mandibular area. So
right.
what is
Yep.
the mechanism by which your device reduces that concussion? Is it purely the compression of the force between the carbon fiber and the outside material, or what is the mechanisms that are allow this your device to go to reduce the concussive blow, and by what percentage does it reduce it?
Well, before we put a number on that, Bruce, let's talk about first how everything is connected here, right? And so let's talk about lacrosse. Let's talk about field hockey. Let's talk about ice hockey and so on. High sticks, very common, right? And
Yes,
so the
sir.
mandibular is the only thing that actually moves in your mouth, right? And everything is connected, right, to the condyles, right? A lot of people have TMJ problems, right? They have pain right here. This is all connected. It's a major hinge. It's a major hinge that everything is connected, right? Slapping, having the mandible slam against your maxilla, right? Have the upper have the upper hit against that, have the lower hit the upper that hard, that sends that wave, that shock up into the brain. And as you saw perhaps in that movie, Will Smith took a lunch bag, right, and filled it with fruit and water, and he shook that bag. That basically was trying to show you when you get when you receive a TBI, a concussion, your brain is getting shocked,
Right.
and everything is scrambled. In the days, Bruce, the days of getting hit on the field and popping back up, and the coach is on the sideline. How many fingers do you see? Right. Okay,
Right.
you're good. You're going back in a minute later or the second half. Those days are over. Look what happened to Tua as just one example. Tua should have, from the Miami Dolphins quarterback, Tua should have never been able to play so many games that quickly. He wasn't ready. This is where we come in, having the sensors that we're dropping in real time, showing not only is Tua not coming back a week later, Tua's not coming back for the next 11
Well,
games.
that's all right. So let's talk about that. So we discussed that the mechanism how you protect the athlete is that if the force is in the mandibular area, you can reduce the amount of force that is reaching the brain because you compress in the oral area. You compress the amount of shock. You absorb a lot of it, so less reaches. Now we all know that the real challenge in all sports is subconcussive trauma, the way the brain shakes. And we know that there's not anything in the world that can prevent the brain from shaking in the head. So when we're talking, blows upon blows upon blows, which is why, we are advocating, forcefully for the elimination of concussive contact in children because of the developing brains and the issues that happen to a developing brain as they're exposed to concussive trauma. And so your device, which it sounds amazing from the area, you said you have the data and science that support that. There was no studies on your website, but I'm very interested in the amount of reduction in that device. Is it? And was you was compared to other mouth guards, or those studies with your
Yeah,
device
well, we
only?
could send that to you. We have it in our investment deck. We have it in several places. I'm not
Okay.
quite sure what you saw, but nevertheless, it does show. We not only did we test our product, we tested against other major manufacturers, and they failed miserably. They failed miserably. Most of these mouth guards have one layer, maybe two, right?
That's not
And
even a mouth guard.
Yeah, I mean,
So
in a short period, the most important thing is that these mouth guards are ill-fitting in a short period of time. And when a mouth guard is ill-fitting, that right there is already a problem, because if a mouth guard does not fit right, it can't protect right. And with our 3D printing, our mouth guards are a precision fit. They snap into place, right? And it's going to be a very tight fit. It gives the athletes confidence to wear it as they perform, knowing they can dish out a hit and take a hit without this mouth guard being dislodged.
So let's talk about the hits. What's your position on children playing contact sports?
Well, I think there should be an age. I know they're changing rules all the time in sports. You've seen that. Um, I know that I know that parents are concerned about contact sports, and I wouldn't be surprised because of all the problems. I mean, you see some young kids already getting concussions already, under 12 years old. That's a major problem. I mean, that
Yeah.
opens the door then, what happens at 15, 16, 17. Um, but we have to put our best foot forward. We have to put our best foot forward. I know they're making some strides on changing helmets. And the silliest thing I saw the other day, I think I saw some of these new helmets being worn in the NFL, right? You've seen them as well. And the athlete's not wearing the mouth guard. I mean,
They were get the
yeah,
and there's actually a
they
lot of
got this
talk.
all, yeah.
There
And I
actually
was thinking to myself, one
we're trying.
hit.
Yeah. So there's actually a lot of talk that the current helmet design is actually the worst at all because of the transmission of force from the mandibular area because it's all locked in. It's all
Yeah.
locked in, and that really causes, it's like, so they're looking at helmets now that are full. They come around, and if that protection takes the because the compression of the jaw, to your point, right? If that compression is not controlled, there's also a significant cost of concussions on hits because the way that jaw force is transmitted to the brain. So for your device to reduce some of that concussive blow, there is a point saying that, and I mean, there's actually a good point for wearing anything that can help reduce any point of concussion, especially when the child is playing concussive sports or at the proper level. But to your point, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Cheerleading, these girls take hits. Lacrosse, soccer, everybody's out there, and you can't stop the accident from happening. But it would be. Do you sell? Obviously with children are playing sports and needing this protection because you get a concussion in any sport. Do you sell children these devices as well?
Well, right now we're working on that, Bruce. Right now, the different versions that we have, that we can say for basically 12 years and up. For the reason being, a lot of these young children have deciduous teeth. In other words, baby teeth, right? And they're losing
Okay,
them, and
that
and
makes
so
sense.
on. Yeah. So basically, from 12 and up, uh, we could see these athletes wearing them. And also, I like to go back to what you were asking a minute ago. Who's wearing these mouth guards? We have many MMA fighters wearing these coast to coast. Um, we have a lot of major gold medal winners from the U.S. ski team. Darren Ralphs.
Boy, do
Um,
they need
uh,
these.
Darren Ralphs is the most prestigious male racer from the United States. He's won so many gold medals all around the world skiing, and he's wearing our mouth guard. He also has segued his career in making movies, Warren Miller movies.
I
These
love my Warren Miller movies. Used to catch them
Yeah,
every
Darren
year in
Rouse is
Colorado,
yeah.
man. Yeah,
Yeah,
love them.
Darren
Yeah.
Rouse is a major athlete. He's one of these guys you see in these movies where they're up about 17,000 feet somewhere in Alaska, and he's jumping out of a helicopter, going off a cliff. So Darren
And
Rouse is
just
wearing
nailed
it.
it.
We just finished a mouth guard with Johnny Mosley. Johnny Mosley is another gold medal U.S. Skier that is wearing it. Both these athletes, they come out of Squaw Valley, or Palisades as they
Yes,
call
sir.
it
That's where
now,
they practice. They train up
in
there.
Lake Tahoe. They're both ambassadors to the resort at Squaw Valley and Palisades. So we have many football players, a few Buckeyes wearing it right now, and
Good.
our push is for the entire team to wear it because we want to make a force not just in our backyard but coast to coast in many high schools and college level players.
So let's talk about these AI sensors because I think right now this could be the greatest innovation right now in America for parents. Okay. Right now, you cannot buy a device that can tell a parent that their child incurred a subconcussive hit and to what magnitude, or a concussive blow, doesn't matter, that their head has taken trauma. And parents want to know, and they deserve to know, if my child is playing sports and they get harmed, it's not about liability or anything. They just want to know they can make a decision to take care of their child. Have they suffered a concussive hit, or how many subconcussive hits have they had? Do we need to go see a concussive specialist? Yada yada. Your device right now, if I read it right, is getting ready to is going to allow parents insight into those types of metrics and that type of information, which is astounding. So where are you at with this product, and when do you think that you are going to release it? And tell us all about it. This is exactly, we've heard of sensors in rugby and World Rugby right now. I think they're wearing it, but only the team gets the data, not the athletes. And I'm a rugby player. I wouldn't even know what subconcussive trauma is, right? So for you are educating the populace with this device. So what's the plans? Tell us all about this. This is exciting. This is where technology can really impact the issue of repetitive ed impacts for all of us.
You're absolutely right. This is a game changer. We're very fortunate for the team that we have, and thanks to Dr. Asim Roy and his team, uh, they're coming up. They have the the sensor for the mouth guard. Sensors have been around for a bit now. The NFL has been toying with that. The problem is they have nothing compared to what we're going to be doing, and hopefully we're going to have that coming out this year. We're going to have several different types, different versions, and I'll touch base on that right now, Bruce.
Please.
In real time, parents, coaches, trainers will have the ability, if somebody takes a major hit on the ice, on the football field, the parents and all of us will know where we stand with that, what kind of hit that was. Is that a hit that's going to take Johnny or Susie out for the next 6 months?
Or should it take them out? Right. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be able to tell. No more how many fingers do you see? How many fingers do you see, right?
Now,
Those days are over. We'll be able to see right then and there what that looks like. We'll also be able to see when Mike Tyson hits his next opponent, as an example, what that looks like. And so imagine this, Bruce. You're watching a big time fight. You're watching some MMA fight, UFC fight, right? From Las Vegas or Dubai, and you'll see a fighter take a hit right there. The audience, the pay-per-view crowd will actually be able to see.
You have a meter?
We'll be able to see what that looks like and what just happened, what transpired from that hit, whether it's an elbow, a fist, a knee, what have you, right? We'll be able to dive right in and see that. And so that is amazing. That is something we're very excited about.
It is
and
amazing.
We're working with that right now, and we're eager to come out and have that for everybody, parents included.
How are you gonna? And that is important, sir. You could change the game with this. So, do you know what kind of threshold you're going to be using for the sensor to go off? Or how are you going to display this?
Let's talk about the sensors in general. So obviously we're talking about sensors, for combat sports, right? Football, basketball, any sports like that. We'll be able to put those mouth guards in place and in real time see that. But some of these sensors, right? Now you talk about some of the trainers at colleges and football, they'll say, well, we already have something, right? They have this device, that vest that some of these athletes are wearing, right?
Riddell has the helmet, the liners.
Yeah, they measure they measure the temperature, right? The oxygen intake and so on. They're able to measure all of that. Or some people have these fancy smartwatches, right? When they're jogging, right? It shows them.
They got a smart ring now.
yeah, I was going to mention that. And the unfortunate part, Bruce, all these items I'm mentioning are completely unreliable. And I'm going to tell you why, Bruce. And it's not me saying that. This comes from a major, neurologist. It's the problem with those devices that people are buying. They have to, the information, the data has to go through the human skin, the epidermis, right? And the problem is that is where the data gets skewed, right?
Okay.
Because it has to go through the skin. The most accurate way to retrieve that data, Bruce, is through the oral cavity, right here in your mouth. And so that's where the sensors are going to be in. Each sensor has a different application. We're talking only about one sensor right now. Other sensors that we'll be working on will basically measure the pH level of a human. We'll also be able to monitor, the cholesterol, right? We talk about high blood pressure. All these things, we're talking about wellness now, right? All these sensors will have a different application. And all these other ones we talked about are giving false data.
So let's get back to the subconcussive trauma here, because this is key. So will you tell parents, like on your screen, so a lot of these sensors are out there, like the helmet sensors for Riddell. Well, when the hit goes off, the coach gets it on the sideline, right? Number one, that data is not allowed to be shared with the parent. Number two, there is no explanation of the magnitude of that hit. So Riddell says, we set this at an industry accepted level, but they won't tell you how many G's it is. Is it 25 G's? The NFL says 95 G's is a concussive hits. Most doctors say it's around 30 to 25. So big disparity there. But there's your sensor right now as you plan it, how will it display the gravity of the hit? What is the measurements that are going to be used right now? Or
Well,
what do you
right now,
plan on?
yeah, right now we're working on that, and I can't speak directly of that,
Okay.
but we're going to be using color codes for that, whether it be red, and all the parents, trainers, and coaching and players, they'll be able to look at the color, what that then would transpire. But
Okay. All right.
and so right now we're working on that, and we will definitely get back with you on that information as it comes out.
Would love to. And so when do you think you're going to have this device on the market, sir?
Well, we're looking at 24. I'm sorry, 25 to be the year of that happening at this particular point. Prototypes we're working on as we speak, and so we're looking and working on that, pretty hard right
I'll
now.
be one of your testers. You give me one of those, I'll have Mike Tyson punch me in the head, and I want
Yeah,
to see where that thing goes, because this. I'll tell you what, Doc. I mean, you're going to be in for a little bit of pushback that the parents have this access to the information. Expect that, okay? But do not give up on that. These parents right now have no way to measure what's happening to their child, and if you stay true to the intent of this device, you will be the first application that a parent can monitor a child, whether they're playing soccer, tiddlywinks, basketball, tag, jumping out of trees. It doesn't matter. We now
rodeos.
know this right now. RHI is the largest preventable cause of mental illness in this country, and we have to track this. We need to know when Johnny or Susie has been harmed, when they hit that red, even when they hit that yellow. So I think you are on a magnificent mission right now to shine a light on the issue of subconcussive trauma with your devices. And I would back you 100% with your mission to be able to at least allow the parents to understand what's going on with their children, because nobody else is doing that right now.
Well, I'm going to tell you something, Bruce. Our mission statement is very clear. Our number one priority is the athlete, and if we can have these athletes, go out there, have the parents know that their young athletes are safer wearing an appliance that not only can protect their dentition, right, their teeth,
Right.
and and at the same time reduce the chances of TBIs, traumatic brain injuries.
I would say reduce the amount of pressure that causes a TBI, but
Yes.
I think that would be a fair statement. And then also transmit this critical data to the parent or the sideline, right? I mean, the coaches
Yes.
need to know too.
Yeah. I mean, we don't.
What a mission! What a
Yeah,
mission!
we don't want too many Tuas walking around.
We don't want any Tuas, right? And to your
No.
point, and a lot of all right, so let me ask you a question. When Tua got hit, I think it was the second to the last time, he hit his head on the back. Okay. That your device would still be able to, measure the impact.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be
That
great.
could mitigate that impact that he unfortunately had. But we're talking about one particular person too. I mean, what about all the athletes that took a hit we're not even talking about, that they got a major headache, right?
Dude, it happens to and that's what we have parents understand, that as soon as your kid enters contact sports, they are going to have subconcussive trauma. That's it. You cannot get away with it. If the head moves, the brain moves, and if you allow it to move too much, you're going to change the brain in ways that are not positive for the mental health and brain health of that child. That is why preventive or diagnostic technologies like yours, right, that can alert a parent to these issues are going to be so. You are the future. You're the future, doc. You are the future. I mean, this is where we need to leverage technology to protect our kids and to make sports safer, not to ban the sports, not to, piss the coaches off because the parents on the sideline go, hey, man, my kid needs to come out. That's what should be our priority anyways, is that athlete, you just said it, that child, their brain is the priority, not winning these games. All right. I mean, it's just, we can no longer go down this path of allowing children to play sports. Oh, in the name of winning, we're going to keep Tommy out there. And I know from this app that I got from my helmet manufacturer, he's already taken a bunch of hits, but he's still functional, right? He's still not, stumbling around or falling down. We got to win this game. That is the most crappy approach to coaching in this world right now when it comes to our children. And we have to change that, and your technology can do it. So, yeah, go ahead.
We have to protect the athlete. Whether it's the Tuas, the Mike Websters out there that had situations. If we would reach them at an earlier state,
right? And we're the guys that's going to stop them from having so much exposure. And then when they are playing those contact sports, preferably 18, but maybe in high school, that's the compromise, and there's no contact practices during the week, they're going to be wearing your device because that coach is going to know. And we're behind you 100% on this one, Doc. I mean, this is great.
I appreciate that, Bruce. I appreciate it.
It's going to be amazing. So tell our audience how to find you. Where do they go to the website? I would definitely post your research papers on there. If you're going to claim research, they should be able to see it. But I think your investor deck's on there too. But tell our audience where to go, Doc.
It's real simple, Bruce. They can go to XSportGuards.com to check us out. The website, you'll see athletes, you'll see testimonials, you'll see all that on there. It talks about our mission statement. It talks about our involvement with community. And I'd like to touch base on this real quick.
Go ahead,
is that X Sport Mouthguards, we would like to work with donors and nonprofit organizations to create a winning strategy because we believe all athletes, Bruce, need protection, regardless of their demographics. And we can make that difference today and for tomorrow.
All about it, sir. And that's a great closing point. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Cannot think of great mission, Doc. I'm on that AI technology. I'm going to follow you every week. Folks, another great edition of our podcast, Broken Brains. Cannot thank you enough for coming on. Remember, go to the website, www.mpfact.com. Get our free copy of this book so that you can be informed. The only book out there endorsed by all the senior CT neurologists in this country for you to read. Get informed. Get our app on Google, Head Smart, at the Head Smart app on Google. And remember, we've got the town hall in March for veterans and RBE. We're going to be doing seminars for NFL players. And we've got our conference coming up on repetitive brain trauma in September here in Tampa. And hopefully we'll have Mr. Settele, Sig, on there talking about this new dynamic innovation where parents can actually measure what's going on with their kids for the first time in history of sports. Thank you so much for listening. God bless you. Sig, thank you so much for coming on board, and God bless you and your mission, sir. And thank you, folks. Take care.